Good morning, my soapies, and yeah, let's have a cup of coffee and have a chat with tea this morning because I've been watching this whole thing and kind of, thinking about what's going on with Hope, especially with everything that has happened this past week. And I mean, we've only made it into 3 days. It's now midweek. And I kind of want to talk about Miss Hope Logan. And yeah, this is a soap only. So let me get that out there before people say I'm a Hope or a Logan hater, because that's not the truth. But I wanted to discuss with you guys, really, Hope? What's going on with her, and especially what's happened over these past few weeks. So you know what? Let's go ahead and break it down. So lately, as we have noticed, Hope seems like she's been a little bit off kilter. So much so, we actually saw Brooke trying to shake her out of it. And, it goes on to say, what's going on with this girl? I mean, do we need a quick history lesson? Flashback. So back in 2023, it was around this time last year where we saw those 1980 disco ball fantasies that The Bold and the Beautiful was putting Hope in those scenarios, fantasizing about none other than Thomas Forrester. And a lot of us, either you were a Thope fan or a newly Thope fan, or you were not, because there were some folks that just did not see Thomas and Hope should have been together because of his past. Either way, we got her fantasizing about Thomas during that time period. Which now takes us to beautiful Rome, where they had this Forrester fashion show, the debacle with Pinecone Poppy in that keyhole, and none other than Hope Logan actually taking the initiative to kiss Thomas Forrester on that balcony. Now, even though Hope told Thomas what happened in Rome should stay in Rome, well, it did not stay in Rome, because wherever she was, her desires were, which led us to the July 10th, 2023 episode where we had 4 days of Thope and her awakening. We had 4 days of riding, scratching, biting, tossing, and everything else, and the Thope fans loved it. It was the highest ratings they had in months for that week, and they even acquired new viewership from non-soap watchers as well, which now she made the decision that she want to put the idea on the table that maybe she should leave her marriage. However, she did create an exit strategy of keeping herself in the marriage by saying, well, Liam, what do you want to do? I mean, if you want me back. Unfortunately, Liam had already knew about the kiss because he was there in Rome. However, it came up to this whole contentious divorce situation. Her mind was already made up because she had eggplant on the brain that belonged to Thomas. And even Liam felt the effects of that, because before all of this came out, he was having the best sex of his life, unbeknownst to him that she was thinking about another man, and that man being his arch nemesis, Thomas Forrester. Being that their marriage were officially over, Hope decided to go ahead and continue to see Thomas, sexting Thomas, and doing anything under the sun that she could do with Thomas in the office and everywhere else, except one thing: the first proposal by Thomas Forrester. By this time, we're now at the end of 2023, going into 2024, and she said no. She needed more time. However, she still wanted to continue the relationship, which she has the right not to choose to marry. However, he wanted to be married, but he decided to give her more time, and she wore that ring, playing with it around her neck for a little while longer. We now move to March 28, 2024, the second proposal, where he created this whole event, created that beautiful gown, and thought by this point, because at this point she did not say that she loved him, even though he was in love with her. She did say it at the 11th hour on this episode. By that time, when she says, no, I can't marry you, I need more time, he was done. Because even though they loved each other, or at least he did, and of course she decided to say it now, at this point he realized that, you know what, I'm not going to try to change her mind. I got to do what's best for me and let Hope do what's best for her. He now decides to leave to go off to Paris, taking his son in tow. And a lot of that was a conversation with Steffi when they were at his home. And of course, we saw that whole confrontation play out with Steffi and Hope. I mean, Hope tried to slap her one real hard, but Steffi was like, I don't think so. And at this point, all the blame then shifted to Steffi. This is when things started to spiral for Hope, because at this point there was this whole Logan versus Forrester war, which of course was ignited by Hope. And at the same time, there was this cancellation theory of the Hope for the Future line, which set Hope off even further. At the same time, the death of Sheila Carter, which now includes Finn in her life, created a whole new dynamic. Now, if you follow our live show, we had this conversation a few months back where a couple of us was seeing a little bit of something going on where Hope might have been keeping an eye on Finn now and becoming very, very slowly attracted to him. With no Thomas or Douglas in sight, she is continued to spiral and at the same time receiving all of the attention and all of the affection from Finn. Now, as benign as his affection was, she saw this as an attraction for her. Now, the thing is, could this be that she was just missing Thomas, or she just wanted a man in her life? And because Finn saw these headaches, he was not happy with what was going on with her and Thomas, because remember, Finn wanted Thomas to stay away from Hope as long as he's breathing. Yeah, obviously she felt some kind of way about that. As Finn was obviously being nice and kind as a people pleaser, of course, not making his wife happy, even though he was dedicated to her, but also making Hope happy, which he had no idea of her feelings for him. We then go on to this situation where she now began fantasizing about Finn now. He would pretty much help Hope at any opportunity, even though Steffi said, I need you to stay away from Hope. When the baby girl Beth got sick, he was over there helping her out. Now, unbeknownst to him, of course, this is growing Hope's attraction to him, so much so that she had a very breathless fantasy that she couldn't control, and her mom, again, had to snap her out of it. Especially mentioning his healing hands and how she explained him massaging her sinuses. Hope doesn't like him being taken advantage by Steffi. She didn't think his wife understood him. And of course, Brooke was shocked to hear that the doctor had actually been confiding in her and they were kindred spirits. And of course, that's where we saw Brooke trying to shake her, telling her that she cannot go after Steffi's husband. Hope saying that he's one of the best men that she's ever met. Even saying how Thomas is a committed man, but he has a history. And then, of course, Liam, who's not as committed, is a good person and a good father. However, Finn, yeah, he was the whole package in Hope's eyes.
12 seconds later.
We now welcome Thomas back on the June 21st episode, and her face lit up like a Christmas tree. She saw her son. She thought that her woes, especially sexually, were over. Until she saw that engagement ring, and who his fiance was none other than Paris Buckingham. This is where things get a little interesting, hypocritical, and a little dicey, where we see she had just come off of having fantasies, yes, fantasies, just this past week and a half of Finn, Steffi's husband. And then, of course, the moment that Thomas walked in the door, she goes into this whole thing about, how could you do this? She wanted to play the victim, started shaking her head, talking about, wow. He didn't want to, of course, reveal this over the phone. He wanted to do this face to face, maturely. Now, she was like, I don't know how I misread this return. And she actually thought that he came back to restart their life together. She's not happy with the fact of Douglas calling him mom, which is a totally different story, which, we're talking about the two of them, but reminds him that he was engaged to Paris' sister long ago. Okay, let's talk about that, because you were engaged to two brothers. You actually married two brothers. And can we also talk about your mom? Your mom and her sisters were also married to the same man. So I don't think that's a good defense, Hope. Thomas tells her that being rejected repeatedly is what doesn't work. And just as much as she have every right to say no because she's not ready to get married, Thomas have every right to find someone who is ready for a marriage or commitment at that level. He didn't have to wait for her. And I mean, she's talking about how any woman would be lucky to have him, but she just wasn't ready. He doesn't have to wait until you're ready. He made the choice that was best for him. He says part of him will always love her, but he just had to move on. She gave him no choice. Now, she knows she let him down, but that didn't mean he had to leave. It was his choice to leave. It was his choice to leave just as much as your choice not to get married. She claimed that she still needed time. Now he's engaged. Did he forget everything that they shared? He ain't forgotten anything. We ain't forgot it either. Now, she doesn't see how he could just move on like they were nothing. Now, he claims he and Paris have something special too. She want him to be happy, but he was her North Star when her life was unstable. Ma'am, that sounds a little bit like codependency. If your life is unstable, you don't want to cling on to another individual. You want to get yourself whole. But anyway, this is a soap. He's still a one-woman man, she says, but that woman is not her anymore. And she said, are you sure you love Paris? And he said, well, I asked her to marry me. And she's sure that he knows that what he has as Paris is nothing close to what they have shared. Of course, each relationship is different. What you have with one person is definitely not going to be the same with the other person. Two different people. The whole sparks connection they had in Rome was just not passion. It was real. It was beautiful. It was deep. It was true. Nobody moved her the way that Thomas's does. And she's sure that he feels the same way, and how there's so much potential for them, and how everybody tried to come between them and break them apart, but nobody could break what they shared, except for your saying no to his proposal. And the fact that you had the opportunity to fly out to Paris to see him and your son. Now, she's saying that there's a future ahead for them if he will choose that path and they can still have it all. Ma'am, you can't have it all if one person wants one thing and you want something else. And she was moving in close, hoping that maybe Thomas would feel something and maybe be able to kiss her, telling him, please don't go through this with Paris. Yeah, but the interesting thing, Hope, is have you forgot about Fan? And at the same time, Thomas don't know that you've been fantasizing about him and that whole situation. So, yeah, who do you want? Do you want Fan or do you want Thomas? Okay, my soapies, just a little bit of morning coffee conversation with you guys, depending on where you are. It might be afternoon when you're listening to this, but I kind of wanted to talk about what's going on with Hope. There's also rumors about some type of medical issue because look like she is spiraling. I mean, ever since Thomas left and Douglas left back at the end of March, I mean, she's been looking for somebody to latch on to, especially if she saw Thomas as the North Star when she was unstable. Yeah, that don't sound too good, ma'am. You probably need to talk to a therapist. So it's going to be interesting moving forward to see the dynamics and the fallout from this. Is she just going to shift her focus and undermining Thomas and Paris' relationship? Or is she going to be balancing her confusing and conflicting emotions for two men, both Finn and Thomas? So we got to stay tuned. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. And until the next video, like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you soon. Bye, soapies.